free agency fever continues. Jason Tatum agrees to a 5-year extension, reportedly worth up to $195 million, coming off of a career year for Jason Tatum. He's not the only one, though. Donovan Mitchell with the Utah Jazz. He reportedly agrees to sign a 5-year, $195 million designated rookie max with the Utah Jazz. If you're on social media, you saw him celebrate. And of course, Bogdanović signs an offer sheet with the Hawks. This is a 4-year, $72 million deal. Reportedly, he will be leaving Sacramento if this goes through. And here's the big one. The big fella, Marc Gasol, agrees to a 2-year deal with the Lakers. It'll be the third team for the 3-time All-Star. Hey there, everybody. I'm Stephanie Reddy, and welcome to this free agents edition of Game Time. I'm joined by Steve Smith, All-Star champion, gold medalist, and Tom Penn, former NBA executive. Gentlemen, we'll get to you shortly, but we want to get right to Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has secured the bag, as the young fellas like to say. He had a terrific season, career highs, as I mentioned, with points and rebounds coming off of 23 points and 7 boards is what he's averaging. Everyone knew the ceiling was high for Jason Tatum. You can see the 5-year extension. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? We'll hear from you guys, of course, as we see what's happening with the Boston Celtics. Are they back in the hunt? Reported free agent additions by the Boston Celtics. Tristan Thompson, 2 years, $19 million. And of course, Jeff Teague with a 1-year deal. It changes what these Boston Celtics look like as we welcome in the gentlemen. Steve Smith, let's start with you. The Celtics, do you like the way they're looking now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you start off with Jason Tatum. You said it, Steph. When you start to look at his numbers last year during the regular season, obviously it was abrupted, but I would look at 23 points and career highs. But for me, I always measure guys by playoff basketball. And I looked and watched him in a bubble, 25, 10, and 5, and he's 22 years old. So you're looking about a guy that's ready to play now, be the number one option, all-star, but then also still has a tremendous upside. I think Danny Ainge and those guys, they have a gem in Jason Tatum.
Tom, you hear 22 years and you kind of take a double take because you forget how young Jason Tatum is because his game has grown so much, right? So what do you think? Are they a title contender now?
They're still in the mix. Smitty knows better than anybody. You're only as great as your greatest players, and he's their greatest player. Jaylen Brown right there with him. They've committed full max money to both those guys. They're clear franchise pillars at the moment, and we see how they now evolve. And when the thing I like is how pressure-packed each of them has been in the playoffs. They came up short in the bubble. We all know that. But they burst on the scene as a dynamic duo ahead of their time. Now they hit their prime. And what's interesting to me is Tristan Thompson added as a major role-playing, rebounding, dependable big man. You bring Teague as a veteran. And Smitty, I like who they added on draft day. The shooting of Nesmith, the best shooter in the draft. And then Peyton Pritchard, he's just going to come in there and he's a Danny Ainge type player. I can tell you that. He'll make some noise. So I like the Celtics overall.
I love it. The Danny Ainge reference for all the young people out there. Check it out. Get some video and you'll know exactly what Tom is talking about. A Danny Ainge type player. All right, let's move on to Donovan Mitchell with the Utah Jazz. As we mentioned, he also reportedly is going to be signing a max deal. Donovan Mitchell had an explosive offensive output inside the bubble, especially for the playoffs. Also coming off of career highs for points, assists, and rebounds, Donovan Mitchell is. He had 50 or more points twice just in the playoffs, guys. Donovan Mitchell, the explosiveness of his game went to a whole nother level. And here's the proof. Performance when it counts. He came out to play in the playoffs. You take a look at that left-hand column. That's the regular season numbers for Spida Mitchell. Playoffs on the right, and you can see a leap. It's not just the points. It's every single statistical category across the board. Donovan Mitchell showed up and showed out. Steve Smith, what are your thoughts on this reported deal for Mitchell?
You know, Tom Penn has been in this situation signing players. If I was the Utah Jazz, I would have signed him right after the bubble. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I know it might have been illegal, but I'd have had that contract slid under his door just like a hotel bill. Hey, Donovan, can you get this done right now? Because we all understand his play, but what I love about is he's just as fabulous as a young man and how he plays extremely hard. We've been looking at saying, what is Donovan Mitchell? As you want to nitpick, is he a 1? Is he a 2? He is a basketball player, and you saw that right column. I mean, those numbers, they don't look real to me, Steph, when you start talking about playing in playoff basketball, shooting 50-50, and you talk about 36 points. And he's still young. He is extremely one of those guys that can take and absorb contact, can lead a team, can play 40 minutes. I'm just looking for the Utah Jazz to get some help around him.
It should be exciting. In that social media celebration, we saw him jumping in the pool. I don't blame him. I don't know what I would have done if I would have signed a deal that big. Tom Penn, your thoughts on Mitchell and what he brings to the table for this Utah Jazz franchise?
He's a superstar. He's a superstar in Utah. Not only that production, but the way he does it. It's perfectly built for today's game. Spread that floor and let him go to work. He can blow by anybody. They can't put their hands on him. And an explosive finisher, a clutch performer, and the character Smitty mentioned, just exactly what you want in Utah to build around. So you got Gobert down in the middle, and then here comes some, reinforcements. Derek Favors coming back, and then playing a little defense, maintaining Jordan Clarkson. That was really their top priority, their top signing. So when you look right down that roster, what you see is a very similar team from the year prior. Add Favors' size, and then add another year of experience. They were right there in the mix, and the way the season got all jacked up with Rudy Gobert and his role in the shutdown, and it was very disruptive. It had to be very difficult. I think they're right there. They're in the Western Conference mix as is, and they've got great management. And, another new addition, a brand new owner in Ryan Smith, local, on the rise, diehard Jazz fan his whole life. Very compelling to see where they take this. They are going to throw into another gear this whole franchise, and they need this superstar at the helm to lead it.
It is going to be so much fun to watch this Jazz team evolve as this upcoming season takes place. All right, gentlemen, we still have a lot to discuss. Free agency is underway. There's been a lot of movement. The Atlanta Hawks are joining the party. Is the Hawks' nest full? What will they do to help Trae Young? We'll be right back.